The sea gives and the sea takes. Today it has given. The thing on the shore has no name in the clan's tongue. It is a mountain of flesh, a wall of black skin and blubber that has crushed the morning tide flat. Old Kale, his face a roadmap of scars etched by a harsh prehistoric world, is the first to touch it. He presses his palm against the immense flank of the beached cetacean, feeling the last vestiges of warmth from a life larger than any hunter's tail. Usually silent shadows flitting between rocks stand frozen, their wide eyes trying to comprehend a creature that has swallowed the horizon. For the Salt Spray clan, a group of early humans whose lives are a daily negotiation with hunger, this is not a beast. It is a miracle. It is salvation delivered by the waves, an end to the gnawing emptiness that has haunted them since the last of the winter stores turned to dust. The clan cheers, a raw, guttural sound of pure relief that echoes off the cliffs. They descend upon the carcass, their flint blades, honed with generations of hard-won survival skills, looking like splinters against the sheer scale of the Leviathan. They work with a frantic energy. The air, once clean with salt and spray, grows heavy, thick with the coppery tang of blood and the rich, oily scent of blubber. Strips of meat as long as a man's arm are carved away, passed hand over hand up the beach to the smoking pits, but have been hastily dug. This is a frantic race against decay, a desperate attempt to claim the gift before the sun and the rot steal it back. But the sun is not the only thief drawn by the scent, which carried the promise of their salvation, now carries a warning. It broadcasts the news of this great death for miles inland. First come the gulls, a screaming, swirling blizzard of white. Then, from the dark tree line that looms other eyes watch, Kale sees them. A flicker of movement, a shadow detaching itself from other shadows. He feels a cold dread snake through his gut, a primal instinct honed by a lifetime of being hunted. The miracle is also a beacon. They are no longer a hungry clan on a lonely shore. They are keepers of the greatest feast this land has seen in a lifetime, and everything is coming to the table. As dusk bleeds purple and orange across the sky, the true guests arrive. They do not screech like gulls. They pad silently from the forest, low-slung, powerfully muscled forms with shoulders that ripple with predatory intent. Smilodon, the matriarch, her saber-like canines gleaming in the light of the clan's sputtering torches, leads a pack of 5. They do not roar, guttural chuff, a sound that promises restoration. The clan freezes, the joyous work forgotten, grips his spear and takes a step forward. The matriarch explodes into motion. It is not a charge, it is a terrifying, fluid bound that covers the sand in a blink. Boar's defiant shout is cut short, replaced by the wet, crunching sound of his bones giving way in the cat's jaws. The beach erupts into chaos. Spears jab into thick, saber-toothed cat hide as fangs and claws tear through human flesh. The mountain of meat is now a fortress under siege. Kale, dragging a wounded woman back from the fray, understands the brutal truth. The sea's gift was not salvation, it was bait. And they, the ancient humans of the Salt Spray clan, are trapped with it on the killing ground. The night becomes a long, waking nightmare. There is no sleep, only the red glow of the fires reflecting in predatory eyes that circle just beyond the light. The clan knows the new, brutal rhythm of their existence. An hour of tense silence, the only sounds the crashing waves and the frantic slicing of flint on blubber, followed by a sudden, coordinated rush from the darkness. The surviving Smilodon are clever. They test a line of fire and spears, feinting at one end while another cat lunges at the other. After the saber-toothed retreat, a pack of dire wolves, leaner and more numerous, ghost in to probe for weaknesses. Their howls a chilling counterpoint to the clan's defiant shouts. Bor is gone. Mara's arm is torn to the bone. Every strip of meat they carve from the whale is paid for with their own blood. Kale, his face illuminated by the flickering torchlight, directs the defense with grim efficiency. He sees the exhaustion setting in, the way the spear halves tremble in the hands of his people. The gift has become an anchor holding them on this beach as the tide of predators rises around them. As the first hint of grey light pollutes the eastern sky, a new and more terrible threat appears. They are not beasts. They stand on two legs atop the dunes overlooking the beach, their silhouettes lean and hard against the dawn. The Ash Hollow people. They are rival Homo sapiens, a clan from the inland plains, driven to the coast by the same lean season. Their presence changes the calculus of survival entirely. A beast attacks with instinct. It can be predicted, frightened, or sometimes outsmarted. But these are men. They watch with cold, intelligent eyes, calculating the salt spray clan's numbers, their wounds, their exhaustion. They carry heavy, fire-hardened spears and stone-headed axes, and they do not look at the predators circling the beach. They look only at the mountain of meat, and at the clan they must remove to claim it. The air grows thick with a tension that has nothing to do with fang and claw. This is a problem of hominid history playing out on a bloody stage. One group's fortune is another's target. The Ash Hollow people make their move with cunning, not brute force. A volley of stones, flung from leather slings, arcs down onto the beach. It is not meant to kill, but to distract. As the salt spray defenders raise their hide shields, two Ash Hollow warriors dart down the dunes, not towards the clan, but towards the whale's head, an area less people had left poorly defended. The fight becomes a desperate, three-way vortex, while less warriors rush to intercept the rival humans. A dire wolf, sensing the opening, dashes in and drags a screaming child away from the fires. The chaos is a weapon, and the Ash Hollow people wield it expertly. The Salt Spray clan is now fighting on two fronts, against the raw hunger of the natural world and the calculated greed of their own kind. They are forced to innovate. Kale orders his people to break the massive ribs from the whale's skeleton. These are leveraged into place, creating crude but effective barricades, a desperate form of osteodontocratic technology born from the very prize they defend. But the barricades won't hold forever. Kale watches as the Ash Hollow chieftain rallies his men for a full assault. He knows they cannot win this war. They are too few, too tired. The feast has become a tomb, and the sea keeps washing the blood from the sand as if to make room for more. The sun climbs, a merciless eye in a pale sky, baking the stench of blood and viscera into the sand. The Salt Spray clan is a handful of ghosts clinging to life. Kale looks at the faces of his people, the haunted eyes of the children, the grim set of the warriors' jaws, the profound weariness in the women who tend the wounded. He sees not just the cost of this fight, but the certainty of their annihilation. They cannot hold the beach. They cannot win, and to cling to it is to die. His gaze falls upon the whale, its flesh now swarming with flies. It cements from the epicenter of their doom. A decision, cold and hard as flint, forms in his mind. It is a terrible choice, an act of supreme desperation that goes against every instinct of a starving people. They will not defend the gift. He gathers the last of his able-bodied hunters, his voice a low rasp. The plan is one of sacrificial madness. They will advance. They will advance. They will nitrate belly, spilling its entrails onto the sand, creating a sick of gore and scent so overwhelming. It will drive the predators into a blind, uncontrollable frenzy. It is a high-stakes gamble, a Pyrrhic victory in the making. The goal is no longer to keep the meat, but to use it as the ultimate bait, to turn the killing ground into a vortex of chaos that consumes their enemies. The hunters nod, their eyes understanding the grim logic. This is their only path away from this shore. As the Ash Hollow people gather on the dunes for what looks to be their final, overwhelming assault, Kale and his small band move toward the carcass, their ancient tools ready. They work with a desperate speed, their flint knives sawing through the tough abdominal wall. The effect is instantaneous and horrific. A great, steaming tide of organs and half-digested matter spills onto the beach, releasing a foul, irresistible stench. The circling dire wolves and the remaining Smilodon react first. Their caution evaporates, replaced by a singular, primal madness. They charge. The Ash Hollow chieftain, seeing what he perceives as a spiteful destruction of the prize, lets out a roar of fury and leads his warriors down the dune in a reckless, headlong rush. The two forces, human and beast, converge on the spilled entrails at the exact same moment. The beach explodes. It is a scene of pure pandemonium, a churning mass of fangs, claws, and obsidian-tipped spears. The predators, blinded by the frenzy, do not distinguish between rivals. They tear into anything that moves. The Ash Hollow warriors, expecting to fight weakened men, find themselves battling starving, enraged saber-tooths in a tide of blood. It is the perfect trap. While their enemies are locked in a death struggle, Kale gives the signal. The survivors of the Salt Spray clan, taking only the wounded they can carry, slip away from the fires and the screams, melting into the coastal scrub like smoke. Cal takes one last look back at the beach, at the rotting monument to their near salvation, now a true midden of bone and slaughter. There is no triumph on his face, only the profound, hollow ache of survival. The Salt Spray clan is gone from the shore, a whisper of their name left only to the gulls. Their story does not end in victory, but in a retreat into the unknown, carrying wounds, grief, and a terrible wisdom. What happened on that beach, in the shadow of the great whale, becomes more than a memory. It becomes a lesson etched into the very marrow of human evolution. The future of archaeology will never find the bones of this specific fight, but the strategy is immortal. It is the birth of a uniquely human tactic, the willingness to sacrifice the prize to survive the battle, to turn an enemy's greed into a weapon against them. This is the brutal calculus that would allow a physically unimposing species to outthink, outmaneuver, and ultimately outlast the titans of the prehistoric world. Their desperate gamble is a blueprint, a foundational moment in the long, bloody history of tactical thinking. It is the understanding that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in holding on, but in the courage to let go, to set the world on fire behind you and walk away into the dawn. So much of our own spirit was forged in such moments. When we face impossible odds and weigh unbearable choices, we are just echoing the desperate logic of Kale on his blood-soaked beach. The instinct to sacrifice the present for a chance at a future is not a product of civilization's foundation. It is civilization's foundation, laid by forgotten ancestors who learned that to survive in a world of monsters, you must be willing to make monstrous decisions. For in the long silence before history, survival was never about the feast. It was about having the strength to walk away from the table. But in the high mountains, some gifts do not come from the sea, they fall from the sky.